There are reunions that arrive like a celebration, and others that arrive like a miracle you were almost afraid to believe in. Imagine carrying a single question across 50 years, across war and oceans and loss. Do they remember me? Imagine returning to the place you ran from as a child, not knowing if the people you left behind are still alive, still waiting, or still willing to open their arms. This is a story about a boy who disappeared, a family that never stopped missing him, and a hug that carried half a century of silence. This is the story of Don Skanchy's Best Christmas. The Boy Who Ran and the Family He Left Behind. Don Skanchy was born in 1954 in a small village near Ba Ria, Vietnam, into a world shaped by survival more than tenderness. His father was a traditional man, brave in war, untrained in gentleness. He had fought the French, endured imprisonment, and learned to live by instinct and endurance. But inside the home, that hardness often turned inward. When alcohol entered the room, control disappeared. Don was still a child when fear became part of daily life. There came a morning when the weight of it all became too heavy. After another night of violence, Don made a decision no 11-year-old should ever have to make. He left. He boarded a bus without knowing where it would take him and rode it to the last stop, Saigon. He arrived with nothing but the clothes on his body and a child's stubborn will to survive. For 4 months, Saigon became his shelter and his teacher. He slept wherever he could, learned which streets were safer, and measured time by the moon. He knew he had been there 4 months because he had watched 4 full moons rise and fade. Hunger followed him everywhere. Some nights brought pain when rats bit his fingers and toes as he slept. He did not cry out. Crying did not help. One day, a police officer stopped him and asked where his family was. Don answered simply, "I have none." Those words changed his life. He was placed in an orphanage where he would live for nearly 4 years, safe, fed, but still alone. By 1967, the boy was 13, old enough to understand loss but young enough to still hope. One afternoon, while playing kick the can with other boys, an American Army captain visited the orphanage. His name was Robert Skanchy. Don barely noticed him at first. He did not want to leave the game, but the captain noticed Don. They spoke. The man asked if he would consider adoption. Then he disappeared, leaving Don unsure whether the moment had been real or imagined. 4 months later, the captain returned. This time, he stayed. In February 1968, Don boarded a plane with Robert Skanchy and an adopted Vietnamese sister named Nancy. He arrived in the United States on Leap Day, a fitting symbol for a life that had taken an improbable turn. Robert's wife, Anne, gave up her career as a lawyer to become a full-time mother. For the first time, Don lived inside a home where fear was not the foundation. Yet love did not erase memory. As the family moved from state to state with Robert's military postings, Don learned how to belong again. Then, in 1971, when he was 15, the man who had saved him was called back to Vietnam. Watching his adoptive father leave broke something open inside him. Sitting in the backyard, Don cried until his mother came and sat beside him. When she asked what was wrong, he confessed his fear, and then asked a question that revealed how deep his wounds still were. If his father did not come back, would she still love him? Anne answered without hesitation, "No matter what, you are my son." In that moment, Don gave his heart fully to his mother. A life built, a loss that opened old doors. Don grew into the man his adoptive parents believed he could be. Like his father, he served in the U.S. Army, eventually reaching the rank of captain. His service took him from Oklahoma to Germany, mirroring the discipline and purpose he had watched in Robert Skanchy years before. After leaving the military, he built a career as an estate planner, a profession centered on helping families prepare for the future. Perhaps because he understood how fragile family could be. He married his high school sweetheart, Kayleen, and together they built a home filled with warmth, stability, and laughter. They raised 4 children, Robert, Eric, Tanya, and Jenny. For decades, life moved forward. Vietnam remained a distant chapter, carefully folded and set aside. Don knew he had siblings somewhere, but searching for them felt like a betrayal. How could he honor the parents who saved him by reopening a past that might hurt them? Even when the family visited Vietnam in 2006, Don was not ready. Some doors require time before they can be opened. Then came the loss no parent should ever face. In February, Don and Kayleen's youngest son, Eric, died at just 26 years old in a tragic accident involving carbon monoxide. Grief arrived without warning and refused to leave. The pain was unbearable and strangely familiar. It echoed the ache of being 11 and alone. In that grief, something shifted. Don realized how precious connection truly was. If his siblings were still alive, he needed to know. Not someday, now. He began with memory: a Buddhist temple, a bridge, swampland. Using Google Earth, he searched the landscapes of Bahria, slowly recognizing shapes his mind had preserved for half a century. The swamp was gone, replaced by buildings. The temple still stood. It was enough to give him courage. In November, Don and Kayleen flew from Seattle to Ho Chi Minh City. Even on the plane, doubt followed him. What if they were gone? What if they rejected him? Searching for siblings after 50 years felt like searching for a single grain of rice in a field the size of Texas. On the morning of November 19th, they went to the temple. Before leaving the hotel, Kayleen gently asked if he wanted to be dressed the way he was if he happened to meet his family. Don smiled. The idea felt impossible. At the temple, he prayed simply, "I am back. Help me." Minutes later, a stranger spoke with him and agreed to help. Together, they walked the streets, asking question after question. No one knew. At the police station, the supervisor turned them away. But a young woman at the front desk overheard the names. She recognized one. It belonged to a friend's mother. Without ceremony, a staff member climbed onto a motorbike and rode off. The hug that healed 50 years. When Tuyet arrived at the police station, disbelief filled her eyes. The man standing before her claimed to be the brother who vanished when she was a child. She needed proof. She asked questions only family would know. Don answered each one, their father's name, their mother's name. When she heard them spoken aloud, something inside her broke open. She stepped forward and allowed the hug. In that embrace, 50 years collapsed into a single moment. War, separation, and silence loosened their grip. Don met his brothers Ngok and Sun and learned of the siblings scattered across the world, one in Paris, another visiting family in Ohio. What was meant to be weeks of searching became a reunion in 4 hours. Over the following days, they traveled together, sharing meals and stories. On a beach, Don played the harmonica, the same instrument his Vietnamese father once played. Music filled the room, and Kayleen felt something unmistakable: love. Not perfect, not repaired overnight, but real. Then came the poem. His siblings showed him a piece of paper written by their father in 1980. It was a poem about a lost son, a prayer, a plea to heaven to protect a little boy who never came home. Reading it, Don felt his anger soften. The man he remembered as only harsh had also been a man who grieved, who wondered, who waited. For the first time, Don could say he loved his father. The gift no one dares to wish for. Some reunions do not erase the past, they transform it. When Don Skanchy returned to Vietnam, he did not recover the childhood he lost. He recovered something quieter and perhaps more powerful: understanding. He learned that absence does not mean forgetting, and silence does not mean indifference. This reunion did not come in spite of loss. It came because of it. The death of a son opened a door that grief alone could not close. It reminded Don that love does not end when people are separated. It waits. Sometimes for decades. Christmas is often described as a season of miracles, but miracles rarely arrive wrapped in perfection. They arrive through courage, through the willingness to ask painful questions, and through the humility to accept answers that change us. For Don, the greatest gift was not finding his siblings, it was discovering that he had been loved all along, even by the father he had feared, even by a family he believed he had lost forever. And somewhere in Vietnam, a poem written by a grieving father finally found its way home.